The Keeper's Decision, a name to hide the curse. It was a cold, misty evening in the late 1800s when Edward Graham, one of the distant keepers of the Graham family, sat alone in the dimly lit study of the ancestral mansion. The ancient house had seen generations of Grahams come and go, each sworn to the eternal duty of keeping the alpha werewolf Dmitri locked away beneath its stone floors. Edward had been raised with the knowledge of the curse, the burden passed down through the family since the time of Archduke Leopold Graham. But tonight, as the winds howled outside and the fire crackled low in the hearth, Edward felt the weight of that burden more heavily than ever before. The family records lay open before him, filled with accounts of the terror Dmitri had wrought in his time, the villages destroyed, the lives lost, and the primal rage that had once threatened to consume the world. But what troubled Edward most were the older records, the ones that hinted at a connection between Dmitri and King Cedric, the ancient ruler whose pact with Lysanor had begun the curse. There was talk among the family, whispers that Dmitri's true identity might someday be uncovered, linking the curse directly to King Cedric and his fateful deal. If such a connection were made public, the legacy of King Cedric would be discovered, and the horrors of the past and the dark legacy of the werewolf curse would be known. Edward knew what had to be done. The name Dmitri had to be erased, buried deep within the family's secret history. But how could he do it without raising suspicion? How could he alter the records without betraying the truth that only the keepers knew? His eyes fell on the family crest, emblazoned with the name Graham. A thought began to form in his mind, one that could protect the family and keep the curse hidden. What if the curse was no longer tied to Dmitri, the long-forgotten boy who had become the Alpha? What if, instead, it became part of the Graham family itself, a burden they had always carried? Edward took a deep breath, reaching for his pen. Slowly, he began to rewrite the records, changing the name of Dmitri to Duke Graham. The new name would become the official story, passed down through the generations. Duke Graham would be remembered as a powerful, cursed ancestor, whose rage and strength were kept in check by the family's vigilance. As Edward wrote, he could feel the tension ease from his shoulders. The link to King Cedric would be obscured, hidden behind the facade of a family curse that had always belonged to the Grahams. The truth would be buried, known only to the keepers, while the outside world would believe that Duke Graham was the origin of the curse, a dark chapter in the family's long history. When he was finished, Edward sealed the revised records and placed them in the family's vault, where they would remain hidden from prying eyes. The name Dmitri was erased, replaced by Duke Graham, and with it, the family's secret was secured. As he locked the vault, Edward whispered a silent prayer to Lysanor, hoping that his decision would protect the Graham family from the horrors of the past. The curse was now theirs to bear, woven into their very name, a shadow that would follow them through the ages. But deep below, in the darkened cellar, the Alpha waited. His name changed, but his rage undiminished, ever ready to be unleashed upon the world once more.